Hey, it's Lisa with LA Savings, and thanks for checking out my first recipe video last week. If you didn't see it, it was a double chocolate chip stuffed cookie recipe, and I will link the video in the description box below. But for this week, the focus is pumpkins, and I came across a recipe for a pumpkin muffin. It's a streusel topped pumpkin muffin with a cheesecake filling. It looks really good. Haven't made it before, but I do like to kind of make it on film with you guys and we can see how the end product is together. Before I do that video though, I figured I'd show you how I prepare the pumpkins because I am going to use fresh pumpkins rather than the can, although you certainly could use canned pumpkin. But I did grow a bunch of pumpkins this year, so I'm going to be cooking them and showing you how I do that before I do the next video that has the actual muffin recipe on it. Alright, so what I have is 2 sugar pumpkins. The smaller pumpkins in the front are the sugar pumpkins, and the pumpkin in the back, it's a little bit larger. I don't believe it's a sugar pumpkin, but it's still pretty small and I can easily work with it. So the first thing you want to do is just wash off the outside of the pumpkins, get off any of the dirt. I usually just remove the stem and then I cut it straight down the center. So I cut them completely in half. Once you cut the pumpkins in half, you're ready to remove the seeds and remove the inside filling. As far as cutting the pumpkins in half go, make sure you have a really sharp knife. It took every bit of a half an hour to open up those 3 pumpkins that I had, just because my knives are horrible. So a sharp knife is really important. But as far as the seeds go, I am going to cook the seeds. I find it easier just to use my hands and pull the seeds out, and I'm just going to stick them into a strainer and I'm going to rinse them off. And then I'm going to come back and I'll take a spoon to get the rest of the insides out, but I am just using my hands to kind of pull out all the seeds. All the seeds have been removed, so now all I'm going to do is take a spoon and kind of just scrape the bottom to get out all of the rest of the insides. Just get right in there and it'll all come out pretty easily for you. I already did that to all the other pumpkins, and you just kind of pull it out and just, you know, a couple times I'll get it all out. Once that's done, then the pumpkin's ready to go into the oven. But as you can see, I did already do all the seeds. I rinsed them off in the sink and I did pat them dry on a paper towel. Some people put a tiny bit of oil with this, just a very small amount of olive oil. I don't. I just left them a little damp and I sprinkled salt on it, just enough to taste. And these are ready to go into the oven at 250 degrees, about 45 minutes to an hour. You really just have to keep an eye on it. When they start to get brown, you want to take them out. If you are in a hurry, you could bake them at a higher temperature. Obviously it's going to cook a lot faster and you have to keep an eye on them because they can go from being perfect to burnt within a matter of minutes. So 250, I'm going to keep them in for about 45 minutes to an hour and keep checking on them. Once the pumpkins are prepared, you are going to put them on a tray. This is too many. I'm not going to have all of these on one tray. The smaller ones I am not going to cut up. I'm just going to put them face down on the tray. This larger one I am going to probably cut in half or maybe even into quarters. You could cut the smaller ones up if you want it to cook faster. I just find it easiest to just leave it like this, especially since it took a half an hour just to cut them in half. I'm going to keep them like this, but you could cut them smaller to have it cook a little faster. I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour. It really depends on how big your pumpkin is. You should be able to pierce it with a fork. So as soon as the fork kind of pierces through it and it's soft, it's ready to come out. The seeds, they took about an hour. I did cook them at 250 for the first half an hour, and then for the second half an hour I did turn it up to about 300. They just weren't really browning at all, so I did turn it up a little bit. I kept an eye on them. It did need the full hour, but now it's got a nice toasted outside to it. They're perfect. So I would say start at 250, but if it's not really cooking well, you can always turn it up a little bit. Just keep an eye on it. And they came out nice. The pumpkin I also kept in for an hour. This was at 350, and right now you can see that it's just peeling away from the skin. I'm not really forcing it. I don't have to work hard. It's just kind of peeling right up for me. What you want to do is either mash this. You can use a masher, a potato masher. You can use a food processor. I'm just going to throw it in the blender. Just for, 30 seconds, just to kind of mix it all together and really get it smooth. And you can see over here that I did do this to some of the pumpkin already. I just put it right in the blender, maybe 30 seconds, and now it's ready for the recipes. I'm gonna let it cool, probably let it cool overnight, and then I'm going to take out 1 cup size portions, and I usually put them in a Ziploc bag and then kind of wrap it all up and keep them in the freezer. And then throughout the year, whenever I need to make something with pumpkin, most of the time it's between 1 and 2 cups for the recipe. So I can just take out 1 or 2 bags, let it thaw out, and it's ready to go. So we have some pumpkin ready now for our pumpkin streusel muffins that we're going to make next.